the control of cancer is not a one-man show. It is a collaborative effort.
I think this is wonderful. I endorse this program, and we need more of this sensitization.
Ladies and gentlemen, you all are welcome to this year's World Cancer Day.
These are people who have survived cancer and who have shown us that cancer is not beyond us.
True, cancer is not beyond us.
So social support is very critical to the survivor of cancer.
And I think it's more information for us, more takeaways for us in terms of all of the access that we need on everything we need to know about cancer.
Cancer is not a killer disease.
Breast cancer risk can be modified just simply by reducing obesity and changing sedentary lifestyle issues.
My name is Ron CCW Chidebe. I'm the Executive Director of Project Pink Blue. I'm so excited. I really don't know how to really express how I feel, but I'm really so happy to be here, presenting a brief address, on this year's World Cancer Day. World Cancer Day actually is a very significant day, been marked by member states, Union for International Cancer Control, and it's a day to see how we can open up platforms, open up conversations, how people could learn, how people could see, how people can really discuss and talk about what we already know about cancer and what we need to know about cancer. So this is a great day for both people who are cancer control advocates and people who are not. And I am so happy to welcome you all. Project Pink Blue is a non-profit that started as NYC Personal CDS project. And when we started, it was just like, we're just going to the communities. We've been to Kabusa, we've been to Kuje, we've been to a series of communities, creating awareness, providing free cancer screening, most especially clinical breast examination and cervical cancer screening. And we've been doing that for some time. But when we finished our NYC, we realized there's a need for us to continue, because we've seen how we've touched the lives of people positively. That's how Project Pink Blue and Health and Psychological Trust Center was birthed.
These are people who have survived cancer and who have shown us that cancer is not beyond us. Please put your hands together as I bring to the front seat Mrs. Khadijat Banwo. She's a development expert and social worker and a board member of Project Pink Blue. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2010. She is strong and a champion. Mrs. Banwo. Round of applause for her, please. Let's do better. The clapping is free. You're not paying for it. You're welcome, man. Sometimes when you go to a place where you have to pay for things, you're careful how you use it. But this clapping here, I guarantee you, is free. So feel free to clap. I also want us to put our hands together for another cancer survivor, a strong woman, a champion, Miss Gloria Oji. She's a motivational speaker and change agent. She's a sales rep at Gardens Hotel. She was also diagnosed with breast cancer in 2010, and as you can see, she's strong, she's beautiful, and she's a champion. You're welcome. Please take your seat also. The thing about cancer is when you hear cancer, there's something about fear. It's just like early days of HIV/AIDS. We all thought once you had HIV, oh my God, death has come. But it's not true. So we see that people can survive, and if they can, anybody can. Don't you think? Anybody can. So we must be strong. It's not beyond us at all. Please, let's have a applause. Please put your hands together for the National Coordinator of the National Cancer and Prevention Program, Dr. Ramatu Hassan. Round of applause for her, please. She wants to tell Minister of Health. She will tell you more about what the government, especially the ministry, is doing. with regards to cancer prevention. You're welcome. Round of applause for her again, please.
Thank you very much. My head of department, Dr. Patience Oshinibi, head department of hospital services, the president, Nigeria Cancer Society, Dr. Ademiku, our guest speaker, Dr. Zamani, who is also the president of the Association of Psychologists of Nigeria, Ronsi, our very good friend, the head of dentistry division, Federal Ministry of Health, head of diaspora, head of nursing, our champions that fought and won the battle of cancer, the survivors, the queen that has her very nice tiara. I so envy that. And of course, all of you that have kept time to be here with us. It's my pleasure and honor to stand here before you and present to you the kind of work we do at my office at the Federal Ministry of Health. Now, at the National Cancer Control Program Office, we are into the development of policy on cancer control, its implementation, monitoring and evaluation of whatever is also being implemented in conjunction with all the other arms of the Federal Ministry of Health and other stakeholder groups. And that is why today we are here collaborating with Project Pink Blue alongside other collaborators, including Sheraton Hotel and Towers, the musical studios run by some very young people that are actually students of University of Abuja that help us to package the music that the Honorable Minister would be launching today alongside the jingles. AIT Ray Power also has collaborated to assist us to package this. Now, this is the kind of work we do as well. We strengthen the effort and collaborate with others, understanding and making the point that the control of cancer is not a one-man show. It is a collaborative effort because cancer is that big that you cannot just leave one person to do it. So we are there to technically guide anybody who is interested in our own efforts in the conduct of the control of cancer. We offer technical assistance, we offer whatever kind of assistance that is required. We can network you as an NGO with another NGO that would assist you to conduct your services for the control of cancer. Now, besides controlling, that is preventing cancer, we are also into the cure and treatment side of cancer, because after you prevent, somebody somewhere, of course, is going to have it. And the Federal Ministry of Health has agencies that are existing and providing the kind of requisite service that should be provided for cancer care. We have our federal teaching hospitals and federal medical centers that offer chemotherapy and surgery for cancer care. We have 11 radiotherapy centers. What we need to on our own side as a nation is to get young people like you to agree to read and get involved academically so that we could have the kind of engineering manpower that is required to sustain these facilities, which we do not have. This World Cancer Day, it should not be beyond us. Nigerians are very intelligent people. We have the requisite infrastructure educationally. We just need the willpower that we can do it. And that is to read and get qualified so that we'll be the ones that can give cancer care from the Federal Ministry of Health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Round of applause for her again, please. I take absolute responsibility for this. We should have recognized and invited to the high table one of the most beautiful women in this hall. She's a queen and an ambassador. She just came in humbly and gently, sat down, and I was busy admiring her and forgot to do the needful, which is to introduce her. Please forgive me. Please let me have the honor to welcome to the high table and also recognize Queen Cynthia Igwe, the Miss Ambassador for Peace and Tourism. You're welcome, ma'am. Please the high table. Isn't she beautiful? Round of applause for her. If they want to come this way, please. I know please don't walk too fast. Just take it easy, please. The only thing I don't understand about these Miss people is why don't they do meets for fat people? Some of us like fat women, they don't do meets for them, but it is well. Okay, don't forget, like Doctor has said, a couple of people supported this program, and we're really, really grateful. Sheraton Hotel, BT Galaxy, Medicaid, Global Link, so many of them. Fidelity Bank, Ghana Air, you name it. AIT, WeFM. It's a fully packed program. I can guarantee you that. Just sit tight, relax, and enjoy yourself. Let's do the academic part and just get it, and then we can start the beginning part later. And on that academic note, I want to invite to the microphone. The man is a bookman. You know, this who have read too many books. He doesn't look bookish, but not bookman. Dr. Andrew Zamani. He's the president, National Association of Psychology. So, sir, those who are going crazy this afternoon, you have help. Let us know for him, please. Some of us are telling people, Doctor, we need your help. Please, a lot of us for him. He's going to talk about the relevance of psychological states in cancer care. Cancer is not beyond us. I mean, Doctor, we want to hear this one. What do you think? And I like this. I like the way you smile too. Yeah. A lot of applause for him, please.
Thank you. True. Cancer is not beyond us. Can we all chorus that? Cancer is not beyond us. No, you people don't. No, I don't think you believe that. You are not convinced. Cancer is not beyond us. Let's chorus it. I'll talk about the relevance of psychology in cancer care. Let us establish a few things about why discuss this issue. We're discussing this issue because medical science has advanced beyond the germ theory of the causation of disease. There is now a recognition that psychosocial factors can independently cause, maintain, and also contribute to the treatment of physical disorders especially. Medical science also acknowledges the role of psychosocial factors in the management of cancer. Now, as a non-communicable disease, there is a very strong association between cancer and lifestyle and human habits. Now, there are a few evidences to justify the need for the inclusion of psychological care in the treatment of cancer. And the first is that about 25% of breast cancer cases worldwide have been found to be associated with overweight, obesity, and sedentary lifestyle. It has also been discovered that at least 21% of people who smoke eventually die of cancer worldwide. 3, it has been discovered that, there are modifiable risk factors that have been found to be very strongly associated with the development, the maintenance, and sometimes the negative outcomes of cancer. like obesity, as has been mentioned in the case of breast cancer, our dietary habits, our physical inactivity, sedentary lifestyle, unsafe sex as far as cervical cancer is concerned, exposure to air pollution, indoor smoke, especially the smoke that our village women are always exposed to in the kitchen. You know, in their kitchen, they use firewood, and it's always in an enclosure. And so this exposure has been found to be very strongly. Another evidence is the fact that cancer patients that have been found not to have social support are usually more likely to progress to the complicated stages of cancer than those who have confidence. That is to say that if upon diagnosis a patient is found not to have a confidant and the patient does not subscribe to the suggestion, to the recommendation that he or she should have a confidant, the patient's personality is such that he or she is very reserved and cannot reach out to mobilize social support, then chances are that this patient will die sooner than of the complications of cancer, sooner than the one who has social support. So social support is very critical to the survival of cancer. Now, you know, we have this behavior in Nigeria. I reject it in Jesus' name for the Christians. Okay, you have a diagnosis and it is active, it is real, it has been scientifically established, and yet it's been scientifically established, and yet you just sink into denial. This thing is not my portion. And so you don't accept to do anything about it. Rather, of course, you choose the prayer option. Unfortunately, the people that we subscribe to for prayers or for leadership in prayers are usually ignorant people, illiterate people. They are usually criminally minded people. In most cases, I said, not in all cases. And so what they do is to help us to reinforce this denial. And it eats us up until eventually the ultimate takes place. So those who have been found to be in denial are most likely to have very negative outcomes of this disease condition. It has also been found out that negative emotions, one state of mind, is very strongly associated with cancer. People who are very malicious, people who are anger prone, people who bottle up their feelings and hardly express them, people who are given to recurrent despondency, people who are, by their personality disposition, stress prone, have been found to have higher rates of cancer than those who are not. Ladies and gentlemen, what then is the relevance of psychology? What is the contribution of psychology to cancer care? Unfortunately, because we're a developing nation, it has not been established in our medical institutions the very clear role of psychology in cancer care. And yet, like the National Coordinator of Cancer Control said, cancer is everybody's responsibility. It's in our purview, all of us. Those of us who are in religious practice, those of us who are in medical practice, those of us who are in legal practice, those of us who are in media practice, everybody has a role to play in cancer care. You will recall that I did just mention that those who do not have adequate social support, quality social support, don't thrive with cancer as those who have quality social support. I am sure that when the testimonies begin to come, this issue will be confirmed. And so, one of the major areas in which psychologists make a contribution is the assessment and the identification of psychosocial risk factors. What are those factors, behavioral factors, that cause cancer or that are strongly associated with cancer? What are those factors that perpetrate cancer? What are those factors that complicate cancer? All these belong to the risk assessment purview. As a matter of fact, we have started as psychologists to try to isolate personality characteristics that complicate the cancer disease process. Now, if we are identifying such characteristics, you would believe with me that on the other side, we're identifying protective characteristics, that keep people away, that shield people from cancer. Psychologists play a very great role in the disclosure of the outcomes of a medical or clinical diagnosis. Very many times we have had situations in hospitals where an untrained health personnel disclosed a very negative diagnosis, what was probably considered a death sentence to a client, and they were jacked up. What do you mean? You mean I'm going to die? Why should you tell me that I have such a disease? It cannot be me, and so on and so forth. And the more they insist, the more they get endangered by the patient. So disclosure is really very important. But one of the reasons why we do disclosure, we do technically competent disclosures, is because we want to get people to accept that they have the condition and to also accept the help that is available in that respect. Thirdly, when people accept and they are already in treatment, sometimes the pill burden makes them to default, not to comply with taking medications as at when due. That is one. Secondly, sometimes the financial cost of the drugs are such that discourage the patients from, continuing in their efforts to find means of sustaining the supply of medication for their health condition. And so they tend to give up. Adherence counseling helps in a great way to open up possibilities that are available for clients or for patients who have the pill burden, who are tired at some point of taking their medication, or of those who feel that they are at their wits' end with regards to sourcing for medication for their health condition. So all these possibilities are opened up for them in order for them to adhere to medical prescription, to adhere to behavioral prescription for risk reduction, to adhere to all other services that are offered to them that would enable them to truly say that they are survivors and that cancer is not beyond them. Now, psychology also offers tools for specialized therapies like cognitive behavior therapy, like support therapy, like dignity therapy, because sometimes when people are diagnosed with cancer, they self-stigmatize and they wish themselves out of the public space, and therefore, live in perpetual self-condemnation and self-reproach. Now, psychological resources can be utilized, to help them to retain the sense of dignity. As I sat over there and our sisters were introduced, I just watched keenly, how they responded to these introductions and, how they walked to the front seat. And I am pleased to tell you that they are true survivors. They all came out with smiles. They walked with grace and candor to the front seat. And as they sit, you see, they sit with dignity. They sit with a very high sense of dignity. As far as I'm concerned, they are the key resource persons for this gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, let's clap for them. There are times that, deaths occur that are related to cancer. Deaths of people that, have suffered from cancer that are probably in the same support group with current survivors. And so the death of a member of the support group tends to devastate other members. Death in the family that is related to cancer tends to also affect family members. A known death related to cancer can actually scare somebody who is getting the diagnosis for the first time. So psychological resources are available for grief therapy to help people to deal with the issues of loss. But you see, sometimes living with a disease condition that is chronic can take meaning out of one's life. It can take meaning out of one's life. And it is very important that we checkmate that. If we do not checkmate it, then whoever is living is a living corpse. Whoever is living that does not have a sense of meaning, that does not have hope, is a living dead person. It's a living dead person. So psychological resources help people who have been identified, to have suddenly lost their sense of meaning, sense of relevance, to find meaning and to find justification, to keep on keeping on. Many times there are emotional conditions that arise that are associated with the diagnosis of cancer, anxiety, depression, and so on and so forth. And so you have a comorbid situation. On one hand, you have a physical condition that you are suffering from. On the other hand, you are suffering also from an emotional state, from psychological disturbance, for which you need treatment. Now, I'm not saying that when people are diagnosed with cancer, that they automatically suffer from mental disorders. No. But you see, there is emotional devastation, which, if not checked, can gravitate into very severe mental illness. And so psychological resources are made available to these people to be able to cope with this health condition. And where psychological resources cannot effectively handle that, then we resort to medication. And it is then that one has to see a psychiatrist. Please, whenever it gets to that, encourage these patients that you know to accept to be treated by the psychiatrist. Not because they are mentally ill, but because it is needful that the psychiatrist who has the technical competence to diagnose emotional and mental disorders is given the opportunity to make a valuable contribution. Now, I have a few recommendations, 3 of them as a matter of fact. One, that the National Healthcare Scheme should embrace the contributions of psychology in cancer care. I'm very pleased to tell you that the national coordinator is favorably disposed. I believe that the space for psychology has not opened up because of organizational constraints. But by what is happening this morning or afternoon, I'm sure we are all convinced that the National Cancer Control Program, has a very big opening for the contribution of psychological services in cancer care. I want to also, and I'm pleased that Dr. Abimiku, my colleague, we worked together for many years at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital in Gwagwalada, is the president of the Nigerian Cancer Society. So I believe that he has sufficient influence to impress upon his colleagues to open up spaces for psychological services in the secondary and tertiary health institutions so that the help that cancer patients get in these places will be holistic. And then finally, let me say that because of the dearth of services in public institutions, many people who can afford to pay for private psychological and even psychiatric services to thrive effectively, with cancer, to survive cancer, are not exposed to, the private options of securing such services. So Pink Blue and the National Cancer Coordination Scheme, and every other person that is passionate about providing or contributing to cancer control should please spread the message that the services that are not obtainable in the healthcare services are actually obtainable in the private sector. I tell you, for instance, that right now we have more than 5 private psychiatric services here in Abuja. And people can just walk in to access medical care, access psychiatric care, and also access psychological care from those centers if they need it because of their cancer condition. On this note, let me extend the hand of fellowship of the Nasarawa State University, specifically from the Department of Psychology, to this organization that has gathered us here this morning to say that we'll be very, very pleased to collaborate with you in cancer research on the behavioral risk factors that are associated with cancer here in Nigeria. And if possible, as God helps us, throughout the continent of Africa, so that together we'll always resonate the song that cancer is not beyond us. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zamani, for that wonderful keynote address. There were so many key takeaways from your keynote address. I personally took away some of the various factors that leads to cancer, but more importantly, how some of the social psychological factors that we tend to ignore as Nigerians and Africans can exacerbate, or if we do accept care, especially psychological care, can alleviate the pains of cancer. So thank you so much for that keynote address. It was really very wonderful to listen to you. We're going to, can we give him another round of applause, please? Very quickly, we're going to invite to the high table one of our most prolific actors in Nigeria. He slipped in while the keynote address was going on. I know I started watching this man many years ago, and I've continued to be a big fan. So, I was very excited to find him sitting behind me. But please join me in welcoming Ejika Siegu to the high table. So the next item on our agenda very quickly is we're going to take a few goodwill messages. And before I go into the goodwill messages, it's important to note that our keynote speaker made an offer for partnership. And there is a partnership form for all the people here who might be interested to support Project Include. So if you are interested, I'm going to be announcing this intermittently throughout the program. If you're interested in partnership in any way, please pick up a form at the back of the hall, or you can meet myself or Chukwuemeka, my co-anchor, to pick up forms or leave your names with us. There are partnership packages, but if there are other forms of partnerships that you think you can offer Project Include to support their programs, please feel free to do so. Again, if you're interested, there are forms, different packages for people who are wishing to partner, and if you have other creative or innovative ideas on how to partner, please share with us and meet either Chukwuemeka, my co-anchor, or some of the co-organizers of this forum. But I'm going to call the next person who's going to give us a goodwill message. We have Fidelity Bank, which is who are some of the partners of Project Include has been working with on this program. And we have their manager, Mr. Ogochukwu, who's here, who's going to give us a very quick, goodwill message. Is he here? Please put your hands together for him.
On behalf of the board, management, and staff of Fidelity Bank, I warmly welcome you all. For us, as an institution with a strong value and high standing in corporate social responsibility, we are very proud to be associated with this event. And in-house, we have adhered strictly to the Cancer Awareness Day, trying to let our staff to know how important it is for us to be healthy and don't run the risk of the cancer ailment. Come Saturday, we want to re-emphasize our commitment and full participation towards the war against cancer. So on this note, I just want to say welcome and thank you all for coming.
And simple talk. Today is World Cancer Day, and World Cancer Day is a reminder to us that yes, we can do something about Cancer Day. And we have all sorts of cancers existing. Today is not a day of long speech. I'll just tell you that I'm from Planned Parenthood Federation of Nigeria, and we are into preventive health. I want to emphasize cervical cancer. We know breast cancer is number one. Cancer is not a respecter of age, both in men and women. But cervical cancer is 100% preventable.
I brought you goodwill from National Family Healthcare Development Agency, Abuja. I'm here to represent the Director of Advocacy and Communication, Dr. Adonu. So we urge you to please make use of our primary healthcare centers, especially at the grassroots level. Get there, you can secure some referrals and then get to the other hospitals for cure and all the things that we need in order that we see that we put an end to this menace cancer. Thank you all. I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Members of the high table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here today. I bring you a goodwill message from my CEO. He would have been here, but unfortunately he's not able to make it, so I'm standing in for him. We're very happy to be partners with the organizers of this program. We believe if we pull hands together, we can chase cancer away from the country, and that's why we're supporting. Thank you very much.
Standing on the existing protocol, I am not the state coordinator. I'm only representing the state coordinator, Pastor Lauro. I'm the schedule officer of NYC FCT MBG group and the founder of this NGO and others actually passed through me. And I'm happy to tell everyone seated here that the NYC is doing a lot. They are contributing a lot towards the transformation agenda of this present administration. We are raising up youth who are contributing a lot in diverse forms and ensuring that everything works fine for this nation. It started like a joke when he came to me and said he wanted to do something, and I told him that because you came on relocation, you are not going to win any award. He said, no, mommy, I'm not doing it because I want to win an award. I'm doing it because I want to impact life. This is something that has actually been bothering me, and I know that a lot of women are suffering from this. So I want to see what I can contribute during my service here and touch lives positively. I said, okay, go ahead. And he started. I thought he was joking. He was able to convince other core members within the MDG group. And they all came together and started as a joke. And on this particular day, at the old parade ground here at 10, he partnered with Wazobia. I was alarmed when I saw the crowd. When the whole announcement went out, we were all there. I thought it's something that we were not going to spend about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I saw all the people that came around, the various NGOs that came there to support him. And I just called my boss. I said, you need to be here and see what this guy and his team are doing. I wish everybody in this country can key in and contribute his or her own quota. Today, I'm happy to be here. That it has not only progressed to this stage, it is making waves, and people are benefiting from this project that started small. What is the message that I want to send across? We don't need to sit down and complain. We can emulate what the NYC is doing, little by little. Instead of wasting the whole energy and complaining, we can channel all our energies and try to see how we can bring up this youth, teach them the proper values, teach them community service, and teach them how to render selfless service to their nation. And we'll all be beneficiaries of this whole thing. So please, as we've all come out here, supporting them, talking about cancer, there are still so many other vices in the country, several, that we need to go out and create a change. So as we go back to our respective homes, we will actually appreciate what these guys are doing. Let's also see how we can impact positively and change this nation for the better. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
You can see that she is actually a motivational speaker. From the way she had turned this talk into everybody contributing their own portion to developing the country. Thank you very much, ma'am. Let me invite Ejike Asiebu to come give us a goodwill message.
Thank you very much. I am glad to be in your midst. When I was hijacked by my brother, Emeka Okorafo, I thought about it, and of course the organizer, the young man, miraculously we ran into each other, and he invited me for his program. I never knew actually that I'll be here until Emeka called me again to tell me. So I had to find space to come here. For me, it is quite emotional that I want to speak about cancer. But I want to also borrow a leaf from doctor over there who did tell all of us here so many things that so many of us never knew. For me, it is emotional because I lost my very close sister to cancer in 2012. Of course, she was sick from 2011. And it didn't quite take time before she passed on. Of course, all of us who are siblings to our father, who is still alive, he's 90 actually this year. And we lost our mother several years back. So it's not just, when you speak about cancer and I look at all the people who are here, who are success stories, I thank God for their lives. I thank God for their lives because they went through a lot. For some people who don't know, I feel for them. I felt for others who as well were in the same situation. And for me, I'm forced to say, or not until you lose someone quite close to you before you understand, and someone who is so there. All lives are very important. But not when you lose two people, twins. One in 1996 and the other in 2011. And then you'll understand the pain, like Doctor has enumerated. But we've moved on. I think this is wonderful. I endorse this program, and we need more of this sensitization, because it's not just only women, because we also have various kinds of cancer. We're talking specifically about cancer of the breast. We have cancer of the prostate, we have throat, we have several other aspects of cancer, which I think a lot of us need to be educated about it. I am happy, I'm glad for everyone who God has given life to be alive today. Our people, we have a popular saying that our people perish because of lack of knowledge. So it's important. It has even become more reinforced when the veterinary doctor was speaking. Of course, certainly we have a lot of professionals who, perchance, unknown to people, also have linkages here and there. We talk about food when the doctor was talking. There are so many things we do that we think is right, but which is wrong. But having said that, I wish to thank everyone who has made our time to come. And for me, as an ambassador of some sort to some of these wonderful campaigns, I wish to align myself with it. And for other civil societies and NGOs who are here, and for others who are still listening, we need to encourage this kind of project. Banks that are here, that have already taken a cue, we thank you. And other individuals who also have the wherewithal. This needs to be taken further. Information is key in whatever aspects, educating and undating people is quite important. And for us in the movie industry, we need also to use other forms. Most of the stories that are told, we can't write stories of families or individuals who have been success stories and people also who are involved and who couldn't make it. And also find a way around it of also trying to tell our people it's more like a clarion call and a wake-up call. Bottom line is that we should ensure, we should try and create time for ourselves to go for checkups. It's quite critical. Because most of the deaths, just like the doctor has said, are things that ordinarily are preventable. But because we just either lose interest or lose focus, or we think, like he mentioned, my God is a living God, and nothing will happen to me. The same God that has told us to always, heaven helps those who help themselves, you have to go and check up. You have to follow up. You have to have people who counsel you. So that's what we need to tell our brothers and sisters and friends, because you don't wish it to any, even your worst enemy, you don't wish it to your enemy. I know what and what. A lot of people spend all the money. At the end of the day, the person still dies. And so what happens? My sister, who just passed on, 2002, left 4 children, including my own 4. So I'm the one who has to take care of them. Having said that, I wish everybody the best and thank you for giving me the opportunity to express myself and also to encourage all of us, particularly women, mothers, brothers and sisters. Let us ensure we go for regular checkups. I'm sure we'll be able to prevent it on time because there are some that are preventable. Thank you and God bless you.
But I think more importantly, what people forget, and I think the stories of the survivors, when we get to hear from them, is that it affects the larger community, your family. So there are so many other rippling effects to having cancer, and I think that was EDUCATE's message, and I thank you for being open and sharing with us today. Thank you very much. We're now going to go on to the next item on the agenda very quickly, which is the launching of the Victors and Victim documentary. It's a very short documentary, and we ask all of you to please watch it. It's been put together by the organizers of this program, and I think it's more information for us and more takeaways for us in terms of all of the access that we need on everything we need to know about cancer. So are we ready at the back? Are we ready for the documentary? All right. So we'll be screening the documentary now. So I invite everybody to please sit back and watch. Please give them your attention as they tell us their story and, give us an idea of what the journey was like for them.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gloria Ogios. I work as a sales representative in a Ghanaian hotel. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2010. Actually, in 2009, I had a biopsy and it was benign. So a year later, I felt another lump and I went back. And then the second one was malignant. Actually, when I was diagnosed, my doctor told me, Gloria, you have cancer. And it was like the world came crashing down. And the first question I asked him was, Doctor, how long do I have to live? And immediately he countered me and said, who told you you're going to die? I was like, is this guy joking? We all believe that cancer is more like a death sentence. And he said, no, you go through the operation, you go through the treatment, and you will be fine. And after that, I called my sister-in-law, there is a nurse, and she told me, go ahead with the treatment. I was in the middle of examining you, I had to abandon everything. Then went ahead with the treatment. The treatment is, how can I describe it? It's tedious, time consuming. Not just the time consuming, even financially, it's something else. but we have to go through it. And one thing I did was to take each day as it comes. When it happened, I felt so down. I couldn't eat, couldn't even cry, all like me. Maybe it was too much to take. Then eventually I went to the church, I visited the places and running, and that was where I was able to break down and cry. And after having a good and wonderful deep dry cry, I became relieved. And I promised myself one thing. Whatever the doctor tells me, that I will do. And that is the beginning of my success story. I want to really harp on this because that is the problem we have. We don't trust our doctors. We believe they are not doing well. We believe, oh, he treats this person this way and treats me this way. No. Each individual has a plan. My oncologist will call you, sit you down, and tell you, this is the plan I have for you. And you have to follow the plan. But first of all, you have to accept you want to go through it. You want to go through with it. If you cannot accept, then there is no reason why he should start treating you. And when I did that, all the instructions I was given, I followed it. The chemotherapy came when 6 courses, I went through it. And another wonderful thing about National Hospital, I have to say it here, is they normally have a more like a talk from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. before the clinic starts. And that talk, they tell us what to expect. Look, when you're doing your chemo, all your hair will fall off. So when mine started falling off, I wasn't surprised. All your nails will turn black. Actually, everything that was said happened to me, I wasn't surprised. I went through all sorts of makeup, you know. And even through it all, I was still going to work. I was still living my normal life. Most people, unless I tell you, most didn't know what I was going through. Because I was even happy to some extent, it helped me change my views about life. It made me a better person. I am being honest with you. When I check back, when I think about my life before the incident and now, I discover I am a happier person because I know that my life is a privilege. So, it's not really that bad. It's not a death sentence. Then I want to say one other thing. Cancer is a disease that when you have it, you're quite comfortable with it. It's not painful. You know, most of us believe that when you have cancer, it's pain. It's at the tail end of it that it becomes painful. So most people are deceived. You know, when they tell you, go here, go there, do this, go for prayers, you'll be fine. You can go for the dry fasting and everything. It is wonderful. But the thing is that the cancer is still there. And since you have convinced yourself that you're getting better, it is not paining you. Yet it is spreading. That is the evil behind that cancer. I want us to know that. Through your prayers, yes, but still, go for all your medical checkups, follow what your doctor tells you, and in fact, this thing they said, not beyond us. I want to add something else, and what I want to add is that we can overcome it. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello everyone. My name is Chups Ibugwe, and I want to say that I'm happy to be here, alive, healthy and strong. And this is because sometimes I look at myself, I say I'm living a borrowed life. The reason I say that is because we've heard a lot about cancer of the breast, and usually it's associated with women. But it's very rare to find men have cancer of the breast. And that happened to me incidentally. 2008, precisely, I had 2 operations. Actually, it started with, I observed some blood drops in my singlet. I saw, blood, particles just close to my nipple. So I wasn't sure where it was coming from. And when I saw it 2-3 times, I went to the internet to check what could be the things that would cause blood spotting on the chest and breast. So immediately I began to see that it had to do with cancer of the breast. And at that time too, I didn't know that men could have cancer of the breast. So I went further to inquire, and it became obvious that I could have that disease. So I went to the National Hospital. This was 2003. Incidentally, at that place, they didn't know how to handle my case, because apparently, it was straight to them. Maybe they had heard about it, but to be confronted with a real case was posed a problem. So they kept telling me to go for this test. After a year, they were going to refer me to Kano. The second thought, the doctor now gave, he said, "Choose. Today is Friday. You have to prepare for an operation on Wednesday." I said, "For what?" He says, you have breast cancer and it must be removed immediately. And so on the next Wednesday, I prepared, went, and he did it. It was so perfectly done that I didn't even know I had an operation, because I was watching it, and he removed, just scraped it, and sewed back my breast, my nipple, and it wasn't, I didn't feel the pain. So then after 2-3 weeks, he sent what brought out the lump to Babalada. They confirmed that it was a malignant cancer. So it was at that point he told me that I had to go for what he called adjuvant therapy. And he asked me to go to UCH. So when I got to UCH, they looked at the history and told me they were going to evacuate my entire right breast. And this they did in July 10. And I tell you that I was so impressed by the two doctors, by the two hospitals I went, Abuja Clinic and UCH. They were very, very, very professional. And it goes to confirm that, some of these things that we run abroad to handle, a lot of them could be handled here and very, very effectively too. So this happened in July 10, 2008. After that operation, they also recommended for me to go for chemotherapy as well as radiotherapy, which I did at the Go Hospital in Lagos. And I did this between December and January 2008. And from then to now, I am as strong as ever. I have never slept in a hospital. In fact, I have never gone back to the hospital to complain about anything to do with the cancer. And I'm still going strong. I do a kilometer, at least 2-3 times in a week. So what I'm telling you here is that cancer is not death sentence. One of the things that helped me to survive was that, when I realized what I had, the few doctors I told about it, the fear I saw on their face was equally so very effective that when I look at their face, I became afraid. When I tell people, a few of them, that this is what I'm seeing, so it was like, oh, this guy is going to die in the next few weeks. So when I realized that their fear was affecting me, I decided to take another step. I decided at that point that I was going to live, that I'm not going to die so soon and of cancer. That was one of the decisions I took. And then I also decided that I'm not going to share the fact that I have cancer with just anybody. I told only my wife, my elder daughter, and then the doctors that treated me. Those were the only people that knew I had cancer. And up until the time I had the 2 operations, my extended family didn't know, my brothers didn't know, my younger children didn't know, my friends, nobody knew. Even though my elder sister saw the fact that my head were wearing out and that I was looking frail, they were asking, "Are you sure you're alright?" I said, "Yes, I'm okay." So until just about 2 years ago, I now explained to them, at that time you were asking these questions, I had cancer, this is what happened, and they were surprised. So what I'm trying to say, what we have to draw from this is that when we are told that we have cancer, the first thing we have to fight against is fear. Like all the speakers here said, there is this psychological condemnation that, oh, I'm going to die. And if we're able to overcome it, if we're able to ensure, to fight against against fear, we have
won 25% of the battle. And like one of the survivors here said, let us learn to obey what the doctors tell us. When the doctor tells you to take a step, please let us do it. The chemotherapy is a very, very terrible experience. It's like taking poison. And if you are not careful, you are not healthy enough to go through it, it constitutes another problem altogether. So it is important for us to have this at the back of our mind before we, when we are going through this, the medical people that are here, should realize that the cancer victims need a lot of counseling, a lot of encouragement, and they need us to know, from the beginning until the end, that cancer is not a death sentence. And so, as we are all here today, I want to thank you for being here to share our story, and I pray that none of you here who doesn't have that experience will experience cancer in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Good day, everybody. I'm Bamu Khadija. I actually started the battle, to be precise, February 2010. This February make it exactly 5 years. But before then, I think every cancer, wherever it is, has its signs and symptoms. But the fact remains that being what we have, we might not be cognizant of the signs and symptoms. I actually had mine sometimes August 2009, and because I'm a development worker, I dedicate most of my time into the work, so I had no time to really take cognizance of the signs and symptoms I had then. But January 2010, the lump came out on the breast, to be precise, maybe on the chest. Then I called a colleague in the office, please, what is this? He said, Khadija, this is a definite lump. I said, what is a definite lump? He said, just go to the hospital for examination. I went to a private hospital at Mararaba. The doctor there said, is it paining you? I said, no. He said, please go to teaching hospital. So that was how I landed at Gwagwalada teaching hospital. The biopsies were done. The lump was removed. The result came out. I was given the result. But unfortunately, our health system still have its own shortfall. There was nothing like counseling or anything. They just collected the result and said, madam, I hope you are no longer giving birth. I said, yes. How was it the last one? I said, 8. Okay. Come back in 2 weeks' time. We are going to do 2 surgery for you. We are going to remove the breast and remove the womb. So I collected the results. I stepped out and I said, Khadija, are you a dullard? The result is on your hand. So with annoyance, I checked my pocket. I had money, MTN, 10,000 naira. I loaded it on my laptop. Before I could key in the first 2 lines of the result, told me I had breast cancer. Because all the medical terminology on the result, I've never heard of them in my life. So I just typed it and the thing came out. I went straight from the hospital to the house. Then, I'm a widow, but then my husband was alive. So I told him that I had cancer of the breast. He said, what? And they asked us to come in 2 weeks' time to pick a date for the 2 operations. We said, okay, we'll go. But as the Lord will have it, before the 2 weeks, he fell sick. So my home was pushed away. So I had no time to, from February 2010, I could not go back to Gwagwalada until September 2010. So the lump that was removed, the same spot, the lump resurfaced. So I now started at Asokoro General Hospital. They do what they call finger needle analysis, and they said it's suspicious that they have to remove the lump one more time. They removed it, and they now said, okay, it is better you do a mastectomy. So I said, okay, but they can't do it for me, but that they are suspecting I ran away since February at Gwagwalada. So I told them that no, I didn't. But there's no any way for me to explain to them. We choose a date for the operation, to be precise, November 2010. And I did the operation. I started the chemotherapy January 2011. After like 5 months, 6 courses, I was done. then went in for the radiotherapy, then from then every other thing has been falling in place. But honestly, it is not an easy journey. If anybody says it's easy, it is not. It's not about whether I'm a widow or not, but it is not easy at all. But by the special grace of God, here we are. We are keeping hope alive. But the bottom line is, I don't belong to the school of thought that will say cancer is curable if detected early. No, it is only curable if, when you detect that you have it, you face it, you accept it, and I have up to 10 people in my support group. Honestly, they knew they had the lumps, they have everything years before mine, but they didn't address the issue. And along the line, some passed on, some, as I'm talking, they are in pain. And so it is not all about that I detected today, and you now choose to leave it to 2017 or 2018 before you face it squarely. It is about wherever, at any stage. Some of us are lucky. I'm one of the luckiest ones. I haven't had signs and symptoms, and it was when Allah ordained I will face it that I face it. And I know it has been predestined, and nobody can change that. But the fact is, we have to, I keep telling my people that 4 words will guide you as a cancer patient. Or whether you have a relative or no relative, it is acceptance. Sure. If you accept that you have it, you'll be able to face it. If your faith tells you you'll be able to carry on, you'll be able to carry on. But if you don't accept and you don't have faith, honestly, the oncology will not do miracle. It is only your acceptance and your faith, your religion, that will perfect the work of the oncologist. The oncologists are just trying their best as far as I'm concerned, but we could help them. And the best way of helping your oncologist is for you to accept that condition, then put it to God to see you through. And it shall. But please let that word, I'm sorry to our Christian people, that word, I reject it. It is not my portion. Honestly, it's touching my mind. I've lost 5 people as a result of I reject it, and it is not my portion. If it is not your portion, whose portion? The God that brought cancer knows you'll be able to carry on before it's been given to whoever. The 9-month-old baby, the 3-month-old, we have a 9 years old here who is having cancer of the womb. So, whose portion will it have been? So please, for God's sake, we don't need pity. We need support in every way you can. Psychologically, spiritually, financially. It is taxing. And it doesn't end that I've concluded my chemotherapy and radiotherapy long time ago. You still have the do's and don'ts. And the do's and don'ts is what we are living on. Don't do this, don't do that. Try it, support it with prayer, and put it for the rest of your life. So please, war against cancer is doable and winnable.
Wow. Please, let's give her another round of applause. Can you stand up?
on the capacity of the Nigerian Cancer Society. People should know about cancer. So you can see this is something that even the practicing physician knew as far back as 1968, that people were not coming to reality with their diagnosis. I'm very happy that more NGOs are coming on board to spread the same message that we, the Nigerian Cancer Society, have said. We were trying to organize something in Gogolada in conjunction with the College of Health Sciences to mark the Cancer World Day, whose theme is not beyond us. When I had a call from the national coordinator of the Nigerian Cancer Control Program in the ministry, who happened to be a colleague, that the ministry is organizing a program in conjunction with an NGO, whether I would like to be part of it. Luckily for me, we have not gone far. I say it's better I come here. Because it's not easy for you to be told you have cancer. All the stories people are saying here, it is not my portion, it is not possible, never. We have had it. They will take you. In fact, I handled one case in Yola, because I visit Yola too as a pathologist. We diagnosed the case, the woman said, lie. She boycotted me, came to the department, collected the blocks, and brought the National Hospital to Paul Jibril. In fact, the pathology know ourselves. We know ourselves all over. Paul Jibril looked at it, he said, cancer. I said, no. He said, do you know what Dr. Bimiko? He said, yeah, Dr. Bimiko is a senior colleague. So you must have one with him to make this diagnosis. And it took us time to convince this woman. As I'm telling you today, she's living healthy. In fact, she's the vice principal in one of the federal colleges in the Northeast. So, cancer is not a killer disease. Believe in me, with the awareness we are creating of early diagnosis, healthy lifestyle, appropriate treatment and care, and even maximizing life, because these are the 4 key issues that the whole Health Cancer Day is focusing on. Healthy lifestyle, early detection, appropriate treatment and care, including psychological care, and then maximizing your life. Meaning, if you are diagnosed cancer today at the age of 30, you can live for the next 30, 40 years. We know cancer patients that die not because of cancer. They die of other diseases, like road traffic accidents. A good example is late Nelson Mandela. He has prostate cancer for many years, but he ended up dying of lung disease, not even the cancer. So our encouraging word is that we should preach this to our people, and remember, cancer has no barrier against age, sex, or religion. We have seen cancer in a 1.5-year-old baby. Yes, when we are medical students, the teaching was that as you age, you are likely to have cancer. That was the teaching. And that is still true for prostate cancer. As a man, if you are 50 years, you better start checking your PSA level, because prostate cancer is an age-related cancer. But we have seen other cancers that are seen in young people, middle age, some of that have bimodal age. So cancer has no barrier at all. I was very impressed with Mr. Chooks. I thought he was going to talk about prostate cancer. Rather, he said breast. The first case of breast cancer I saw as a resident was in a 70-year-old Reverend Father in Calabar. And I said, as a young doctor, a Reverend Father who doesn't do anything, he has no sin, he's preaching the word of God to end off the breast cancer, and not of other organ, but the breast. Of course, when the news was broken to him, he took it as a clergyman. That's what God can do. So please, let's change our lifestyle. Do the screening if possible. Luckily, I was told there's going to be screening today.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, doctor. So next time when you see NCS, it might not mean Nigerian Customs Service.
Nigerian Cancer Society.
It can actually be Nigerian Cancer Society. Round of applause.
Nigerian Computer Society.
And, oh, thank you very much. Importantly, this occasion, this event is to help create awareness and dispel fear.
So anybody has any question, any clarification you'd like to make, please feel free to come forward, ask your question, and we have the experts, we have the survivors, so I'm sure that we'll definitely get an answer for you. And the issue of faith healing, I don't have any problems with people being healed by faith, but we've seen over and over that it's been abused in this country. What is the society doing to engage with faith healers, preachers, religious people who at some point even encourage you not to take your medicines or whatever you're taking because you'll be healed, because healing is your portion? It's been abused.
What we, the medical practitioner, protest against is for someone to sit down, maybe in his spiritual home and start telling people, the wrong stories, this can done, you don't allow anything to touch you and all sorts of things. I have never been part of those things. So having a good faith is very good, and then you must follow the maybe I will don't quickly add the traditional like we call it to tell patients some of these things. In the north here we call cancer Chuandaji. They say Chuandaji is cancer. And some of them will tell you this Chuandaji, don't allow that to touch them. No injection. We have had this type of stories. You don't allow that to touch. They have to do diagnosis. No injection. How do we give that chemotherapy? Now, I have this type of story before. And that's why I'm glad the Federal Ministry of Health have now incorporated traditional medicine, to be regulated by Medical and Dental Council. So that the members are brought on board that this is what you should tell your members. And if you do that, you can envision that we are going to have a good day.
My pleasure to be here. I'll be brief in my question. Actually, I have an issue at hand here right now. I'm here on behalf of my sister. Last 3 years or 4 years ago, they discovered breast lump in our breast, and it has been removed from a regular specialist hospital, teaching hospital, sorry. 3 days ago, before I left my place, she was complaining of her breast increasing in size, and at hand now she's breastfeeding her baby. So I was observing some irregularity in the baby, and I wanted to advise her to stop breastfeeding the baby, because since it's not my field, I just said let me come and consult one of my colleagues here. So I decided to come out and ask the question so that if there is anything I should be enlightened, so that I can let her cross to her, so that we can rescue her on time, because the way I'm seeing her, she's dying and it's really affecting her psychologically. Thank you.
Regarding the lady who is breastfeeding, I have this feeling that she's somewhat disconnected from her healthcare facility. She's no longer in touch with her doctor, and that is very dangerous. What the brother can do, even if it means if she's not been in touch with the doctor for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I think there's a disconnection. Reason being that, it is causing you such concerns that you're wondering what you can do to help her. If I remember correctly, you said, because I think my sister is dying. So reconnect her with her doctor, reconnect her with her hospital, and then the doctor can take up the issues from there. And that's the beauty, of reconnecting people to their primary healthcare institutions. That her doctor can now link her up to psychological services if there are. If there is no psychological service in her healthcare institution, I am sure he can source information about where additional psychological support can be obtained, to complement what the hospital is doing for her at that time. In addition, I know that the doctor would want to mobilize family members to give her the quality support that she needs, or link her up with a support group that he has either probably formed in the hospital or that he knows exists in a nearby hospital facility or a nearby community. That way, her spirit will be uplifted, she will be kept alive, her hope will be rekindled, and she will be strengthened to do what she ought to do. Like the pink and blue people say, that it is not beyond us.
My question is this. Dealing with a lot of rural women and men, we've had questions from them, such as, just as HIV antiretroviral drugs have been made free for HIV positive people, is there any effort, is there any provision or ongoing process by the government to make cancer medications free at whatever stage, whether the early stage or the full-blown cancer? Thank you.
So for that effort, we have been training our staff in medical clinics, which is necessary for treatment of cancer. The radiotherapy,
I'm sure they will do no.
we have sent our staff abroad and they are servicing us here now. We also bring in brachytherapy to the center. We have already connected an institution in Spain. At Madrid, we were there just at the end of last year in order to commence brachytherapy using Holland.
And I will implore all of us, to really support these NGOs, because this is the only way you can see the government may be able to provide probably the big or the bigger infrastructure. But these are all fraught with a lot of challenges. And I'm glad to have one of the biggest supporters of this cancer treatment in this country today, in the person of Dr. Ahmed Yakubu of the Stanford University Teaching Hospital. I've never really seen any commitments since I came into this field to this cancer project in this country, except from that part of the country. And I think probably Dr. Yakubu deserves a round of applause. As we speak today, it's a very gloomy statistics. Probably we have only 8 treatment centers for a population of 170 million. I'm sure we are much more than that. But as we speak today, it's only 2 of these facilities that are functional. So what exactly are we talking about? If 8 facilities in a population of 170 million, and at any point in time, we can't say that 50% of these facilities are working. Then I think there's a lot of things that still really need to be done. And I think this is why this kind of initiative by the NGOs, like the Pink Blue, needs to be greatly supported.
A lot of people living with HIV are more prone to cancer. And in addition to that, just generally, based on our research, we have seen that cancer is increasing in Nigeria. So over the past 10 decades, the number of people with cancer has really increased. We've also noticed that the cancer burden is disproportionately shared between women and men. So a lot more women have cancer than men in Nigeria. So the organization focuses on 3 things in cancer control. One is early detection of cancer. So in order to do this, we have cancer research projects at about 6 hospitals in Abuja, where we provide free cervical cancer screening. And then we also do clinical breast examination and provide early diagnosis for breast cancer patients.
The woman herself, the woman who has been at the forefront in pushing forward cancer control and management in Nigeria, Dr. Amatu Hassan, the National Coordinator of the Cancer Control Program of the Federal Ministry of Health. Well, we used to say that behind every successful man there is a woman. We have changed this one now. Behind every successful woman, in fact, there are men, not just a man. So as Doctor comes forward, I also like to invite to the table Ron C. Chidebe, the founder of Project Pink Blue, to also come forward and support Dr. Hassan. And of course, a man whose name has gone ahead of him in the work and service he does, Dr. Ahmed Yakubu. So please come for the Chief Medical Director of Eastern Africa University Teaching Hospital.
You heard about cancer? Cancer. What is cancer? Cancer is an unknown from any part of the body.
Let's see, we're never employed for that one. We're also going to have, of course, our the cancer survivors, definitely. We're also going to come forward to support Dr. Hassan as she unveils that. And who am I not to also invite the Nigerian Cancer, not computer, I know, Cancer Society President also come forward and support. And of course, the Queen, of course. We are going to definitely bring the Queen, come forward. And before we unveil that, Queen, would like to just hear briefly from you, and then we'll do unveiling. So, the Queen, please come forward. As the finest girl tourism in Nigeria, you see again, she's slim and tall. A round of applause for her, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols to be observed. I know we're all tired, but I'm going to say Project Pink Blue, the cancer awareness cause, is something that is really dear to my heart. And I'm here because it's also part of my pet project as the Finance Girl Tourism 2014. And I would like to congratulate us all and encourage us all that are here to hear the good news. And I'm going to say we share the word and give courage to those who are really affected by this deadly disease. Thank you.
You want to also join? I used to think I'm a very tall young man until I stood by the Queen and I saw that I am vertically disadvantaged. But not to worry. Well done. Okay, so we are going to unveil this, and I'm sure that Dr. Hassan will have one or two things to say very briefly as she unveils. The photographers are ready. Let's just say what she has to say briefly and then the unveiling.
On behalf of the Honorable Minister for Health and also the Supervising Minister of Health, I have the honor to be assisted by all of those that are around me to unveil these songs and jingles in aid of cancer awareness to the glory of Almighty God and for the betterment of mankind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
I'm told I must unveil another thing, and that is Project Pink Blue Breast Navigation Program. On behalf of the Honorable Minister for Health, it is my honor and pleasure to be assisted by all of those around me, particularly the survivors, to launch the Project Pink Blue Breast Navigation Program to the glory of Almighty Allah and the betterment of mankind. Thank you.
I have a question on breast cancer. So, of course, everybody here has this disease. They are in your heart. We make sure we have, one per part. And then, of course, we have some water for you to make as well. And
Please check your pack and make sure you have one CD. So, thank you very much, ma. So, doctor is saying you might have biscuits, apples, and water. And I think you should bring the biscuit and water to me so that I can help you take care of it and keep the water so that we all are on the same page. Thank you very much, Doctor. A round of applause for Dr. Hassan and her team as a long campaign for us. And we are just actually have been told that the Honorable Minister is unavoidably absent. He said that his logistics is holding him down, so he can't join the last time. We're actually taking a lot of time. We can't continue waiting. That's why we just have to do this. So, really sorry about the delay. But we've done it, we've done it. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you very much, Rossi. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for coming and your time and your patience. We don't take it for granted.